And Ranking Member Collins, you can deny this as much as you want. People died in Ukraine at the hands of Russia. And Ukraine, since September 2018, when it was voted on by Congress, was counting on our support. 1 year passed, and people died. And you may not want to think about that. It may be hard for you to think about that. But they died when this selfish president withheld the aid for his own personal gain. And I get it. Oh, Obama, he only gave them X, Y, Z. We've proven the record that President Obama gave them not only military capabilities, military training, and medical equipment. So don't tell yourself the Ukrainians didn't die. They died. Ambassador Taylor, he said, these were weapons and assistance that allowed the Ukrainian military to deter further incursions by the Russians against Ukrainian territory. If that further incursion, further aggression were to take place, more Ukrainians would die. So it is a deterrent effect these weapons provided. That's who you're defending. So keep defending him.
Mr. Chairman, first I want to thank the gentleman, my colleague, Mr. Jeffries, for laying bare what we all have known, is that they have policy differences, and as he said, they'll deal with it next November. They're not really interested in removing this president from office. They don't think that the Senate's going to remove him from office. They get it. This is all a political exercise on their end just to help them in next November's election. That's what it's all about for them. And it's infuriating to me that they put on this show and waive their constitutions, which they must have just found because, I've been at this a long time and I don't see folks on their side of the aisle waiving the Constitution, much less reading from it very often. But it's good to know that they're actually finally talking about what their real motives are, to use this as a political maneuver for advantage in the 2020 election. And with that, I'd yield to the ranking member.
Thank you for yielding. Mr. Swalwell, I'm not sure if the hearing is bad on that end, because undoubtedly it is. I did not say no one died. Undoubtedly, you can have a trouble reading an article that said people died. No one said that. And you can accuse whatever because you're just sitting there just telling untruths because you don't get it because you have a personal agenda, and maybe you're auditioning for the prospect of being an impeachment manager. That's great. But you can't get into this one. Because as someone who sat there and watched people die on the battlefield, I know when people die. I know when they come into the hospital and they've been shot up or they've been hit with IEDs. So to come in here and to take a shot saying, oh, Mr. Collins doesn't think people died, that's a load of hogwash. In fact, it's so wrong to get a cheap shot to say what didn't happen, when you can't even read your own article you put into submission. I mean, maybe we can go by it word by word. Although there is no way to link Markov's or dozens of other deaths directly to lack of aid. Undersecretary Hale said this was prospective, not at the time. I'm not sure what part, and I can maybe draw a picture and put it on a chart for you. That's the most ridiculous comment, and there's been a lot of them here. That is the most amazing lack of honesty and integrity I've seen so far. Looking at your own article, to say that, I had never said no one died. We know people died. Let me explain it to you. Wars, people die. Is that difficult to understand? Maybe that's why you're back here with us tonight. It's not hard to understand. And to say that, again, two things, the most amazing things today. Tearing down the Ukrainian President, Mr. Zelensky, and besmirching the folks who died. That's just amazing to me, even for this majority. To sit there and keep repeating the lie after lie after lie. They died. Mr. Hale, Undersecretary of State, said that was prospective money, not current money. People died when there were money released earlier. Are we going to claim that that was because we didn't give them enough money? I don't know. I get it. Y'all got an agenda to push, and the clock is ticking. But to sit there and come back with that one and to accuse me that I said that they didn't know that nobody died? I never said nobody died. Undoubtedly, you don't understand that. Because your own article that you wanted to get in so quickly said there's no way to actually tell what they died of, because even this was an article that was slanted against the position that the president had. So if you want to continue this debate, go right ahead. Because for the men and women out there who've served in the military, who've watched and been overseas, who've watched this, who understand around the world, who are fighting, even in Ukraine and others right now, for you to say that is just wrong. They'll get it, and I'm not yielding to anyone. I mean, maybe, like I said, maybe it's a reading comprehension problem. Maybe we just don't have it. Maybe it's just because we don't have the facts to make the argument. I'll go back to the facts. It always is. We know nothing happened, and we know that you couldn't actually make the case. Otherwise, you would have wrote them in the articles of impeachment. You can't do it. So what do? Today, we've taken the tact of tearing down Mr. Zelensky, just tearing him down, and then also continuing the unfortunate misrepresentation of money and deaths of soldiers fighting for their country. That is the dark stain that we see today. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman.
Let's get the uncomfortable stuff out of the way first, if we can. The new CNN
There will
poll,
be comfortable stuff?
The new CNN poll, I want to put it up right now. You are at an asterisk in the new CNN poll. I guess that means you have room to grow. My question to you is, how much time are you giving yourself to grow? If that doesn't move, when do you get out?
So it's early, as you know, just under 500 days until the next election. But also, what's interesting about that poll is that 57% of the people polled did not watch the debate.
That is true. That is true. 43% did. Your numbers among, I don't have them in front of me right now, but the numbers of those who did watch the debate, you didn't win those either.
Yeah, it's early. I got about 4 minutes total to talk. Others, like the vice president and, people who are polling higher right now, talk for about 12 to 13 minutes. My goals, frankly, John, was to introduce myself as someone who's been in Congress, for 7 years, has been on the Intelligence Committee, has tried to shake things up by leading the effort to bring new members of Congress to Washington, and that we have a moment to seize by putting, a generational leader in the White House.